Here we are, stage one, London Flat Race. I believe the course is Greater London Flats, which is um, distance 17.47 kilometers, so 11 point something miles, 11.1 miles. 20 seconds to go. Sorry, top comes off. I actually don't have a fan, so it gets hot. 10 seconds building the watts. Just to say, we're in category 3. You can see 2.5 to 3.2 watts per kg. My customary let's roll just before the barrier drops. So we build up some pace. Definitely want to stay on the front group. A 10-mile race or a 17k race. Do you know what? Like with Cat C, I'd probably say, look, there's some fire socks. I believe the fire socks only come out when someone's hitting 500 watts, so you know someone's just kind of putting the effort in to stay in the front group. So that's always a little indicator. I know some people try not to rate or don't like to race in them because of that reason. But anyway, we didn't seem to go out too hard, kind of 300 odd watts rather than 400. So staying on the front group wasn't too hard. I'll try and talk you through the race a little bit and just kind of give you a vibe for what I'm feeling and the way I tackle this. I have done, this will be my third race in as many days, so not to throw out the excuses, but 16, 17k, just, it's probably too much of a punchy race for me, and but I love it all the same, and it's great to kind of get in the mix. So we kind of head out fairly easy, and I want to give you guys some tips as we go through this. So first and foremost, I decided to just keep up with the front group. If you have a quick look at my heart rate, anything around 150 is comfortable, anything above 160 and I'm kind of hurting. So that's what I kind of focus on a lot. I know that the London Loop, there's about 100 odd meters of vert across the whole 10 or so miles, 17k, so we don't really have to worry about the climbing too much. I just decide, right, keep it easy, settle in, kind of sit in the group. A little tip for anyone to try and provide as many tips as possible through this. When you are in a pack, so when you are riding in the peloton, what you are seeing is different to what everyone else is seeing. So you might notice that my rider is kind of sat up at the moment on the left-hand side of the crew. He's just kind of up. He's not really in a tuck, which basically means I'm picking up the draft. So we're over 20 miles an hour. So that's like the indicator that you're in a sweet spot. And a little bit later, you'll notice that I get pushed out to the right a little bit, and sometimes my draft kind of disappears. So this seems like a pretty good spot. Kind of that little tuck there, like I do find it a bit funny because you are meant to be sat up if you're in the group, and I'm clearly kind of still in the group, and I'm kind of, there he goes, let back up. So I'm just sat in the draft, which basically means I can do 150, 160 watts to kind of keep up. We're in the front group. You can kind of see, if you look at the little map on the top right, there's some separation, kind of definitely pick that up. For me personally, I definitely don't have the legs to sit at the front and kind of try and attack this. There are a few points later when I do kind of think that might be worth a shot. I just don't have it today. But it's fun all the same, and I wanted to make it an entertaining race. Look, there's me throwing out some thumbs. Oh no, I think I'm about to throw out a cheeky comment because I love trying to keep the spirit alive whilst we're racing. So let's see what we come up with. Nice flat one today. Yeah, just let the group know, because I will say though that this was a very quiet peloton today. No one replied to a single message. I was the only person throwing a few out there. Bit indicative that this whole group actually punches away from me in the last mile, so perhaps because they were focusing on the right part of it. Anyway, we're holding 250, 260 watts. Or just 200, just kind of over 200. I think like 260, that's like 3.4 watts per kg for me. 145 HR, because just I think that's going to build a lot as we kind of see some of the numbers punch. And I'm pretty happy with just kind of sitting in the peloton, if I'm honest. Yeah, so wheels wise today, I think I'm on the MV, I want to say like 3.2s, is that what they are? The SESs, and then there you go, just punch up to the front, lose a bit of the draft, and then kind of there we go, and then I sit back and realise there's no point. Is that the group breaking away? Hard to say, but I'm going to go with it anyway. Yeah, there we go, look, 370, 300 odd watts, just to cover the move. And that's the Zwift craft for you. You know, you kind of got to pay attention. pick up moves early. I will say that this race was, I mean, it could have been because it's so flat. I just don't think anyone really could attack too hard, or certainly no one really went with any attacks. This guy in the green, R.Go, he definitely attacks a few times during the race, and I kind of noticed this. I don't have the beans to go with anyone today, but I'm always happy just to mix it up to try and make it a bit more entertaining. So that R.Go guy, like, keep an eye on him because he kind of pops to the front a few times. Cheeky Tenzing to kind of keep me fueled, and you might notice losing a bit of attention and just drop back through the group, but obviously not a problem. I reckon there's got to be kind of 40 odd, 45, 50 riders in this group. Definitely make sure I keep throwing the thumbs out to the crew that everyone gets their rides on. And we're still in the lead-in, apparently. A bit of an incline here, so you might notice the wattage push up. Again, it's a flat route, so it's probably what keeps the group together across the whole thing. Pushing 340, 350, 370 watts. That's quite tidy. I know that, like, obviously it's because it is so flat. There's no climbing, so any kind of effort on an incline, you just kind of got to hold on. And stay in the group. And you might look on the little map. We dropped a couple of riders, I think, so might break the numbers up a little bit. But the idea is just to try and stick with the group, stick with it. I'm pretty sure at this point I am sweating absolute buckets. 300 odd watts. You see my heart rate hit 160. I'm big on the HR. I'm 40 years old. My heart rate maxes out about 176. Maybe I could get it higher if I had a good day on me. But there's me burning off the aero boost that I don't really want or need for any particular reason. See, look, there goes R.Go again, the green guy. So he definitely kind of attacks a few times. Just no one goes with him. I think on a flat route, it's just so much harder to kind of disappear, especially over a shorter race. Like, is it worth it? Because you'd need quite a lot of the group to go with you. I cover these moves, a little inside on the corner, which means you get that little whip round, so nice and easy. Happy to sit in the group, take the toe. I'll be honest with you, last night I did one of the fondos, and I did that kind of holding 3+ watts per kg, and it finished on epic KOM, which I think was the toughest part of the ride. Obviously, there's me with a chee-hoo in the comments again. Obviously, everyone just ignores me. That's fair enough. Yeah, and then look, there he goes again. I think, do you know what? Like, someone tell me, is he going? Does he want a group to go with him? Just no one ever goes with him. This guy in the green, he does it a few times. So I kind of like, and then he just drops straight back. So I don't know whether he's got his trainer difficulty might be set on something different, so he has to react to the variation in inclines a little bit more, so he ends up punching through. But we're pretty good coming down the Mall. If anyone has cycled in London, this is kind of one of the nicest stretch of road. Not for just it's usually quite, it's wide, so you can get a nice little burn if you finish. If you've ever done the London Marathon, this is where the finish line is, and we're heading straight towards Buckingham Palace. Absolutely love London. I love racing London in Zwift because it's all the places that you see, and these big old flags, the Union Jacks, they are there for any kind of ceremonial occasion that we have in the UK. So we're heading down to Buckingham Palace. Where that archway is now is actually basically exactly where the finish line is for the London Marathon, if you've ever run it. So we're feeling all right. Picked up another little power up, and I think we end up aero again. I kind of realised halfway through the race that I'm not really in it, so any power up is not really going to help me. You can tell with a big group like this, it's basically going to come down to the sprinters at the finish, so just try and hold on. Heart rate is kind of pushing a little bit, 155, pretty happy with that. Nothing to really worry about. And then just sit in the pack again. A little incline coming up to, I believe it's called Wellington Arch, Buckingham Palace on our left. And this is, you can ride this if you jump on a bike there. We just kind of pinged through the traffic lights that would have been there. There's a pedestrian crossing here into Green Park on the right. But it is nice. It's great to see it in the Zwift world. I'm not sure I'd recommend cycling down this side of the street in London though. You'll get a black cab or a bus come in the opposite direction and knock you straight off. So we drive on the left, so cycle accordingly. 200 odd watts. I mean, we're pretty happy. If I can, anytime I can get my heart rate back down is basically the plan. If I can get my heart rate under 150 at any point, then that's what I'm going to go with. Look, there we go, throwing a few, little message maybe, or throwing a few thumbs out there, get the ride-ons in. 149, I'm on the outside of this corner, so everyone will whip round inside me. Yeah, kind of lose a few spots. Another trail of fire, which I saw. So then I just a little bump, look, 560 watts, just a little pump. Maybe is someone going, is the group breaking? I don't really know, but I want to be in it, like just for the sake of it. I know that I don't have the legs for it, but I want to be in it. But the heart rate jumps straight to 158. So we start cooking. I'm on the front now. This is exactly where I do not want to be. How nice is that map kit as well? That pink jersey with the map on the back. I've been trying to pick up a nice map kit for a while actually. And back past Buckingham Palace, happy to just sink back through the group. I don't think we've lost anyone. So it's just the same crew. Look, there's some riders coming the other way who are going to have a bit of a tough time on their ones and twos. Still in the group though. Pretty happy. I think, we're pretty solid around 200 watts, which I was kind of surprised, I think, because it's so flat. Some of the flat pacing was quite slow. The wattage kind of ended up sitting kind of below 200 watts, which I was a little bit surprised about. That being said, in the last few miles and few K, it cooked me anyway, so it's kind of irrelevant. You can't really say that if you can't keep up. So back down past the barracks, and we are St James's Park on the left. Again, if you get to this point in the London Marathon, you're on the home stretch. Little towel off, God, hot and sweaty. I've got some little electrolytes, and I like to put a little personal note, some lemon cordial, lime cordial in with my electrolytes, just to kind of, got to enjoy the ride. So we're kind of halfway through the ride now, and no one's really kind of made anything of it just yet. So we're kind of happy to sit in the group. Things I'm looking for is just like, I was kind of hoping that there might be a bit of an incline again that might break the group down a little bit. This big group it doesn't favor me. Like there's just too many places for everyone to hide, including myself, like 170, 180 watts. Hopefully you'll see my heart rate come down if it kind of stays around here. There's Buckingham Palace. There's Parliament on the left. This used to be my regular commute, and Westminster Abbey on the right. This is Parliament Square, and there's some traffic lights here if you're ever in the real world, as we come down and kind of head west through London along the Thames. Again, we just kind of sat in the group. The fact that it is a 17k, 11-mile ride, this many people, it's going to be a strong group of sprinters that take it towards the finish. I think the guys start cooking in once we get down to kind of 5k, so we've got another couple of miles. But you'll notice that the wattage, this is where I was kind of a bit surprised, because the wattage start kind of coming off a little bit. I wish I had the legs to kind of push it and attack a little bit. I just know that if I attack, it doesn't look like anyone's been going with the attacks, so might as well stay in the group. So I happily kind of just make my way to the back and take as much of the pull as you can. And again, one thing to keep an eye on is that heart rate down below 150, so pretty comfortable. Just try and hold on, and again, sit at the back of the group. Nothing's really happening. 230 watts. No one's really moving. These are, realistically in the real world, these cycle lanes are something that were put in about 9 or 10 years ago. When I used to commute into London, there were no cycle lanes down this part of London. They are actually there now, and they actually make it an incredibly safer place to cycle. I definitely remember this is a very big crossing coming up, and MI5 is on the other side of the bridge from here. So this crossing, I'm not sure whether it is in, yeah, it is in Zwift, that we're coming up to is a massive crossing, and it's not a particularly enjoyable one. It's one light at a time. Anyone that commutes in London will tell you that it's a horrible crossing, because you never catch the light, you never catch a green. So boom, there, big old Route Master bus on the right. That is what is it, Victoria Bridge. As we move down to Battersea, and then if you ever get lost, if you're ever in London, sorry, and you kind of lose your way on the bridges, it's cab. So it's Chelsea Bridge, Albert Bridge, and then Battersea Bridge. So cab, and that goes east to west. And you'll see Battersea Power Station come up. Group's not really doing much. We're pretty casual, kind of 200 watts, and I think it kind of slows down a little bit here. Yeah, and then look, there he goes, guy in green again. Kind of keep a note on him. He kind of looks like he's pushing, and I don't decide to do anything. I'm just going to sit in the pack. Seems like, yeah, seems like an easy thing to do. A couple of guys up with him, but I kind of have a feeling it's his trainer difficulty. So I don't do anything. Happy to sit in the group. Battersea Power Station on the left. Someone goes. Just no one seems to be going with the attacks. So for me, it was just like, if no one's going to go, then yeah, it just makes it hard. Big old group, 270 watts, and maybe a few people are thinking about it, just to bring him back in, or her, could be her, I can't see, there's no name on it, to bring them back in, 240 watts. No real move, but anyone that attacks, and you can see kind of those two kind of push. There's definitely a point, and there he goes, R.go again. I wonder where he finished. I didn't really keep a track of that. No fire socks though, so no one's hitting 500 watts. Anyone, if you do want to get fire socks, you got to be level 50 in Zwift. I'm 22. Got the Zwift Wattopia tour coming up, which is double XP, so it's volume for the next week or so. Quick drink as the watts come off, 170 odd, heart rate's kind of 155, which I know that it's obviously going to start cooking in a minute, so want to try and keep my heart rate as low as possible as we kind of get near to the last 5k of the race. Try and take a little, as my nephew calls it, have a little relax. Sit at the back of the group, watts come off a little bit. Yeah, no real moves. Kind of rider is sat upwards, so that's kind of good. It's just too much of a, for me, it's too much of a big group. I've got my power up. I kind of realised, 160, 170 watts. Try and get that heart rate down. Back on the bars. And okay, I've got a feeling that maybe there's this turn and there's a bit of an incline. And I think I just want to cover it. I just know that being at the top of this, we're at 1%, so can't really call it much, 2%. I just want to make sure I cover it, so I kind of sit at the front of the group. I don't know why. I know I don't have the legs for this today, but we'll see. And yeah, this is coming up to what would be Sloane Square, it is Sloane Square, in fact. And yeah, does the group look like, 300 watts coming up here? It's dead flat. Maybe someone's doing something. Does it look like the group's breaking? I basically need this group to break into a smaller group and to stay with the smaller group, but it kind of doesn't happen. So no one's really, just stick with it, get pushed to the outside and lose a bit of the draft, but that's all right. As we come down Sloane Street, this is a posh old street in London. You get a lot of the very fancy shops as we work our way to what would be Hyde Park at the top. The group look like it's we're in the 5k mark now, so things are starting to happen, put it that way. I'm like, well, the only thing I can do is try and keep my nose at the front and make sure I cover any moves and just kind of see whether I can go with it. You can kind of look there they are. And I realize that I'm not going to be able to sit at the front and attack this, so I just need to try and stay with the group as much as possible. And it's breaking up like a little bit, I want to say. No one's dropped off on the map yet. Here we go, into the last 5k, few turns. The things that you look for are kind of like people like to kind of push into turns, people like to push into climbs, and that's when you kind of want to, part of the Zwift craft is predicting that, if you will, and just putting in a few extra watts to try and stay with the group and nudge yourself up. Big right hand turn here, so I got a feeling, I just kind of thought that maybe people like to go into the turns and just like hammer out the turns. So looks like the group might be moving a little bit, so we try and kick and stay with them. Sin89 says right on, thank you my guy. I will be losing sight of some of the group soon, so 260 watts, heart rate 162, pretty happy with the cadence. I think cadence was my friend today because the legs were struggling with the power, so just trying to, what I'm losing in power I'm trying to make up in cadence. 105, 110 is kind of my sweet spot, but the heart rate starts building now, and then once the heart rate starts hitting 164, 165, not having the strength in the legs, I'm not going with the group. So again, still good to be in it. Last 2 miles, few attacks maybe now, few people just dragging the group up as we build. Last few miles. God, this is why I love Zwift racing, because it's all. Well, this is why I enjoy racing. In any sense, it all kind of, the dynamic changes. Okay, so this is an interesting tunnel. This is, I think above it is like the Duke of Wellington Arch, and it's a little decline into an incline. So I know that try and recover on the decline, try and get my heart rate back under that 160, try and keep myself alive, and then punch out the other side. So I kind of build my cadence on this bit, which should take me up to the front again. I know I need to build cadence, build some watts, because any of these little inclines, these little changes in the inclines can break up the group a little bit. Look, there's someone out the saddle punching. So I'm still at the front, or still kind of in the mix. What I like to do sometimes is kind of punch and then just let myself drop back as the incline continues. So we're 4%, 400 odd watts, so people are starting to yeah, so we're into like the last 2k of the race, and you can kind of see, look there, people have used the incline, it's breaking up a little bit, a couple of attacks, 400 odd watts to stay in the mix, and this is me going backwards. So you don't see a bike going backwards often, but here I am. I'm trying to stay in the mix. I'm trying to work. Those little kicks that I can just do to just try and edge up the power, and then get the flywheel moving and try and stay on it as much as I can. And we're still like a little incline. People are, just some stronger cyclists. I think this is just a case of be better, be stronger. The group kind of moves up a little bit. The wattage 340. Look, there you go. Fire socks, 500 watts from someone to stay in the group. I'm not going to hit 500 watts. I'm 166, 165 on the heart rate. Fire socks around the corner. That's Zwiftcraft. Zwiftcraft is punching into corners, punching out of corners to stay with groups. It definitely makes a little bit of a difference. A little bit of a decline, and I kind of think, I'm weighing in 77, 78 kg. Sometimes these declines kind of work in my favor. So I'm like, can I stay with the group? I've lost the main pack. So my best bet is just trying to hang on with a little group so that I don't have like a solitary. You can see on the little map, top right, people have fallen off. So, the pace has picked up. I think, they're cooking off. We're into the last K now. They're kind of cooking off at 300 odd watts, 350. I'm nowhere near that. Try and stay with my little group. These three guys, it's nice to see that at least, a few other people have fallen off. 29th, I think, out of 110 starters. It's flat. Can I stay with them? A few people in the chat now talking. They've obviously been saving the chat for their sprint finishes, half a mile, 1K. That group looks like they're pretty much set to stay together. All I'm trying to do is just stay with anyone that's left behind on the chase. I'm absolutely sweating. I'm pretty happy with it though. Finished last night on doing one of the Zwift fondos with a nice strong Cat C group and stayed in the chase group for the whole thing, so I was pretty happy with that. As we swing back down onto the Mall, the finish is obviously going to be down on the Mall. I realise that now. We've got 0.3 of a mile, so what's that, 600 metres to go. 200 watts. I don't have many beans left. There's nothing really I can do. I'm sat in 31st. I do have a power up, so build my power up a little bit. Try and sit with this group. Is there anything I can do? That rider on the left in the yellow using his power up. Here's a sprint section. I definitely, here you go, aero boost. Go on, put some watts in. I've got nothing. I've barely hit I think I saw about 770. Picks me a couple of places, and then I die over the line. So, right, let's have a little look. 3 watts per kg, 233 average wattage, heart rate 152. Look at me, absolutely dying. Love it. 25 minutes and 37 seconds. So basically, I think from I did check the standings. The lead group, the winners, Cat C, they were 18 seconds ahead. So they, in that last, what is the last mile, they put 18 seconds into us.